Hello guys, welcome back to an episode review of Hollyoaks for Tuesday 9th of December 2025. In this episode we saw Tony finally coming back home from the hospital. He was carried by Diane, or assisted, as Diane assisted him walking back to the dog until Mercedes saw them. Mercedes also reluctantly helped Tony into the dog. And she's feeling very guilty. It's just so visible on her face that it's, you just couldn't make it more obvious. And Diane can tell. I believe Diane just probably wants some sort of confession, and she's obviously using help from Gemma. Be careful who you're friends with, guys. But she's getting help from Gemma, who seems to be very deranged and seems to have a very dark history slash conduct in her ways of dealing with other people. And she's giving pills to Mercedes, and her and Diane, or mainly her, come up with a plan to get Mercedes under the influence of certain drugs. So she's Mercedes all over the place, and I don't know whether Gemma's obsessed with Warren. I don't know what's her game with Warren. Why does she want to get hold of Warren, and why she wants to split, Mercedes and Warren. Again, a lot's to be. I'm hoping a lot will be explained later on. But she seems like there's no limit to her, and obviously the fact that she's associated with Froggy and Sully, especially Sully's best mate Griff, who done what he done to Dodger. I just don't trust them. I don't trust Froggy or Sully or Gemma. Just don't trust them. They're great actors and actresses, but they. As character-wise, I just can't trust them. And obviously Mercedes, she felt really guilty the fact that Tony can't even feed himself. The guilt's it's just so written on her face. And then Diane's looking, and she eventually had to leave the dog and leave the Tony and Diane together, the Cunninghams together, all their son and daughters, the sons and daughters, and just have a nice day, basically. I think Anthony, obviously, he needs to have he needs to go to anger management or something, because he might seem good now that his dad's back, and he might seem happy, but any little inconvenience later down the line, I'm afraid as a viewer he will lash out at someone. So yeah, he needs real help. Given that he's a young male, he's finding his way. He's there are other dangerous, kind of like, don't want to really use the word influencers, but they're toxic people online. He's most likely listening to them, and then he's just got his own warped view of life. So I believe he got to catch the problem. We've seen this stuff with Imran, but I don't think Imran was so online led. He was more, because this was many years ago, probably more than 5 years ago. Imran's situation was more kind of like personal, like as in it was more real life experience. He was just growing more and more frustrated than having the influence from online. Joseph, Cleo's son, is back home from hospital. Cleo didn't want to really let him go, but Cleo has to stay there because her mind and her mental health isn't fully there yet, according to the doctor, so she needs to stay there. See it as being great support. Unfortunately, Cleo's mind is still playing tricks on her, and sometimes she can hear voices, even when the person's there, stuff that they're not even saying. So yeah, she kind of is a bit paranoid, and she feels like people are out to get her. So yeah, she does need help. Prince is obviously missing Theo, so he's also helping around with the baby. Lucas now is an interesting topic. So Lucas obviously self-harmed inside the restaurant on his shift, and Vicky and Dylan found him lying there with his forearm just bleeding, and then they took him to the hospital. And he's obviously putting a lot of guilt onto Dylan. Dylan, obviously, the major thing that he's doing wrong is sleeping with Lucas's dad, Steve. That's all sorts of wrong. So when obviously Lucas finds out who Dylan's actually sleeping with, all hell's gonna break loose. And then a part of me actually thinks that Lucas might secretly know and is plotting his revenge. I don't know. It might be. Look, he was never right after his brain surgery. You know, he never hit his dad before that, but he never ever hit his dad or lashed out before his brain surgery. Ever since his brain surgery, he's just turned a character, and it's very unlike him, and he's becoming manipulative, and he's becoming obsessive of Dylan, possessive, and yeah, you know, credit to the actor. He's doing a fantastic job in portraying the character. But I don't know, guys. I think the writers might be showing a more deeper storyline. Maybe the effects of him having brain surgery after his character has changed a little bit. I don't know if that goes on in real life, but that could be one explanation. Or it could just be just a random storyline after his him having surgery. It could be unrelated, guys. I don't know. I'm just theorizing at the minute, and I kind of believe that there's something more deeper that we're going to see with Lucas in terms of his strategy, the way he manipulates, and the way he's so obsessive. There's we've seen similar characters like this before, but not exactly the same, obviously. It is interesting, don't get me wrong. So yeah, there's a lot for Dylan, and I wish they have not put Dylan and Steve together, or like having some sort of affair. I mean, they are both single, but so I wouldn't really call it an affair. It's more of a kind of like a secret, casual relationship or dating, whatever you want to call it. But that's, yeah. If Lucas knows secretly, then I would be really worried for Steve and Dylan, especially the way Dylan was locked inside the elevator at the end of the episode. Yeah, I would be really careful of Lucas, guys. That's a wrap from me. Hope you enjoyed the episode review, and I'll see you in the next episode review, which will be the Wednesday the 10th. Peace.